Hey, true creator, watch this. My MetaHuman walks over a shirt and instantly it's on. No menus, no inventory, just pure runtime magic. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to build this clothing swap system in Unreal Engine. So let's get started. Okay, so to start out with, before you even can start this video, make sure that you have the following. You're going to need to make two MetaHumans. So let me show you what I've done here. So if we go to the content folder, all I did was I went to content folder, went to third person, went to blueprints, and I added two MetaHuman creators, one for a male named John and one for a female named Jane. Now, if you look up here, I've already opened these up, and I just wanted to show you the presets that I use for John and Jane. So for Jane, I used Area, and then for John, I used Mateo. Okay. So, and you also want to do the same thing. You want to create one for Jane. Now, when you create these two metahumans, make sure they're just the default with no clothing on, because I'm going to show you how to add clothing to the metahumans in the rest of this video. Okay, now, once you've created your two characters, it's going to populate. If we go back to our content folder, it's just going to populate into a metahuman folder with your two characters in there, so John and Jane. Now, before we continue, let's go ahead and hit the Fab store, right? And what we want to do is we want to download something called the tech outfit, okay? Because we want to have two different sets of clothing. One set of clothing is going to be the white t-shirt, which is the default that comes with the MetaHuman creator. And then we're going to also download this free one here, which is called the MetaHuman Techwear outfit. And all we have to do is add that to the project. Okay, great. Now that that's done, we can just close this extra thing here. We can also close that, and we can also close the Fab tab. And then to double check to make sure we have it, we just go to our content folder, and then in the Fab folder, in MetaHumans, we've got our tech outfit, okay? Now, for this right here, while we're here inside of Jane, we're just gonna go ahead and let's go to the hair right here, and we're just gonna scroll down until we see this outfit section here. We're going to open this back up. We're gonna grab the wardrobe outfit, just drag and drop that onto here, okay? So that way this MetaHuman can have it, and then hit save. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to John and do the same thing for him. So we're gonna go to this hair part, and we're gonna just scroll down, go to the content drawer, and just go ahead and drag that in as well, okay? And do a save. Okay, now we're gonna need to do is we're going to assemble this. Now, we're gonna assemble this with the clothing on here, okay? So for this right here, make sure instead of being in cinematic, we're going to do this whole project in the optimized just because it'll be a little bit quicker, performance will be a little bit better. Now, for this John here, by default, it's just gonna name it to whatever you name the creator. So what we wanna do is we're gonna delete this front part here, and we're gonna call this John White T, okay? And what we wanna do is, with this right here being set up, we're gonna go back to where the hair is, scroll down to the bottom, and we're going to double click this here and add the shirt onto our character here, okay? And then what we want to do is go back to the assemble, and with his shirt on and everything, we're going to just go ahead and hit assemble, and we're going to do this exact same thing for the other character as well. Okay, so now you can see right here, we've got 135 unsaved. And if we go right here and we go back to our content folder and we look at our metahumans, you'll see I got a new character here, okay? Now, we're gonna do that for the jacket as well. And rather than you sitting up here and me going through each one of these, I'm just gonna just show you and then you can just follow along. I'll speed this up a bit. All right, here we go. Okay, so now that that's done, now we're pretty much done with this right now. So we can go ahead and we can close these out. Now, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to grab our John and Jane metahumans. So under the content folder, under metahumans, we're going to grab our John. We're going to grab the BP John, which should have been made before you started this video. Double click that. And then we're also going to need we're going to go back to the MetaHuman folder and we're going to need our basic Jane blueprint, okay? Okay, so while we're here inside of the John blueprint, just all I did here was I added the actual logic from the Epic character, the third person character. I just copied and pasted it. So I'm just going to give you a brief summary of what to do. Basically, make sure you change this parent class up here to character when you first load your MetaHuman. Then the next step is you're going to want to copy and paste these two functions here, this aim and move, and add that to the character. And then you also want to make sure after you do that, then you copy and paste the main logic, right? The other thing you're going to want to do is while you've got this selected under class default, I believe, you're going to want to do a type and placed. Yes. And right here for this setting right here, you're going to have several options. It's going to start with placed in the world, but we're going to need spawn and place because I'm going to show you how to spawn and destroy this actor. So that way we can make our clothing swaps nice and clean, okay? So make sure you do that. The other thing is you're going to want to type in the word tag here, and you're going to want to add a tag to this particular character. So you can add, let's see, right here under actor, just add a tag. And for this particular character, we're going to name this character male. And then we do a compile and a save. And then we're going to flip over to Jane and do the exact same thing. We're going to do tagged, and we're going to add a tag. And we're just going to call this female. Enter. And then we're going to do a compile and save. Oh, and just a note, so even also, if you go to the viewport for a second, when you're typically doing this character, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna select the root right here. We can close that out and make sure that you drag this character down to the bottom and line them up into the 90-degree place, and then make sure you add from the third person character this actual camera and spring arm. So I'll leave a description if you don't know how to set up your MetaHumans logic. In the description. I'll leave a link to my other video, or I'll also put a card in. All right, moving on. Okay, now what we need to do is we're going to need to create our actual actors. So we're going to go back to our content folder in the third person folder into the blueprints. And again, this is where I copied the logic to make my MetaHumans functional, right? But right here, we're going to right click and we're going to add a blueprint actor. Right here, we're just going to right click and we're going to go to blueprint class, which is right here. And we're just going to add an actor. And we're just going to call this actor BP underscore white T. Okay. And we can hit enter. And then from here, we're just going to double click, open it up. And right here, we're going to add a collision box. Let's see right here, collision. Yes, we'll just add a collision box. And I'm going to change the size of it a bit. So let's change that right here. So go back to collision box. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger, just a little bit taller. That's it, just a little bit. And then I'm going to, while we're here, add a skeletal mesh. And then that will be inside of there, okay? Now, right here, we're gonna go ahead, we can do a compile and a save. And we're going to go into the event graph here. And we don't need these right here. We still need the event begin play. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold down the S key and do a left click, and that's going to give us a sequence there. And then right here, we're going to right click and we're going to do a cast to John blueprint right here. And we're just going to hook that up to the first one, and we're going to right click and do a cast to Jane blueprint. From this, again, we're just casting to our pre-made characters here. And then we're going to drag off of here and we're going to get player character. And then we're just going to go ahead and use this for both of them so they can both get the player character. And then right here, all we're doing is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to promote this variable. And we're going to promote this variable as well. All right, now we're going to go ahead, we're going to click on our box here. And what we want is we want on the begin overlap, okay? So we scroll down and on component begin overlap, we're going to add this. And then right here, we're going to hold down the S and do a left click and hold down and make a sequence node once again. And we're going to hold down the B button and left click that 2 times just to make some branches here. And then for these branches, we're just going to drag off of here and we're going to, let's see, what's the best way to do this? We're going to do, let's do an actor has tag. Actually, we're going to try to drag it off of here. So actor has tag. Okay, and then we can just do a Control D to duplicate that. And we're also going to hook this back up to the target here. And let's see, we can go up here. And yeah, we're going to hook up these to the different ones here. And remember, on our characters, we tagged them male and female. So we're going to do that here as well. Just male. And then here is going to be female. So that means when the character overlaps, they must have this tag exactly in exact caps and everything, okay? So we're going to put this here and put that there. Let's see, go ahead. Now, while we're here, we're going to need to add a variable. We're going to add is John question mark. And then we're also going to add has male body question mark. Okay. And then all you're going to do is you're going to hold down the Alt key and then you're just going to drag the John here and John there, and then has male body here and has male body here. And we're just going to connect these up because we want these variables to act the same for both of these particular ones, okay? Now, we're going to just drag off of the true for each of these, hook those up. Make sure we connect everything together. Move that in. And then we're going to check for true on this side and leave this side false, okay? Then we're going to hold down the B button, do a branch. And for this branch, we're just going to connect both of these into this spot right here. And then right here, we're going to drag off and we're going to do an and boolean, okay? And then what we want to do is we want to grab the is John and put it right here. And then we want to grab has a male body and put that right here, okay? And make sure, always keep your code nice and neat. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do one more cast to thing here. So we're just gonna grab this here, highlight this in yellow, and then do a Control D, and that'll duplicate that. And we want to grab it from the actor here and hook this up like that. And we want to definitely hook up the John to the true, because if we hit true, it's John and has a male body, it's going to be that. And if it's false, it's going to be Jane, it's going to be that. Okay. So now let's go ahead and make this nice and neat. So I'm just double clicking here just to neaten some of this up here. Like so. All right. So now we need to do a compile save. So compile and save. And then right here, we're going to add a function. We're going to call this function F apply outfit. Okay, before we continue and make this, there's one thing I forgot. We're going to need to go back to Jane. And right here, we're going to need to add another skeletal mesh. So we're just going to click add. And we're going to call this, skeletal mesh. And since we're in Jane, we're just going to call this body female. Okay. And we're going to just go ahead and, we can leave that here for now. Let's see. Yeah. No, we can actually we can drag and drop it into the body one. That's fine. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing for John. We're going to add a skeletal mesh. And we're just going to call it male or body male. Okay. And we're going to drag and drop that and put that underneath the male body body male here, and do a compile and save. Actually, while we're here, while I'm thinking about it, let's just go ahead. We close that tag here. While this is highlighted, you want to add. Okay, so like for your body right here, you should have whatever you should have your animation blueprint. So I'm just going to search mine real quick. And mine's is right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add the male to the male body. I'm just going to populate it with that. Now, because it's the male body and Jane, they're both exactly the same. We can do a compile save here. We can go back to Jane, and under her female body, we can populate her animation class with the exact same animation blueprint because it's MetaHuman specific. Compile and save. Now, let's go back to our white tee. And then right here, we're going to grab two things. We're going to grab John. We're going to put him at top. Get John. We're also going to grab Jane. So Jane's right here. And then we're going to get male body for John. Okay. Let's see. We want the skeletal mesh, male body. Yes. So, okay. We want to get. So get. Yes. So we want this right here. We don't need this part here. We can delete that out. But yes, we want to do the same thing. Get female body. And I think we just click right here. Yeah, we just do it just like that. So that should be fine. Okay. And then from here, we want to set skeletal mesh asset. And we can do a control D to duplicate that. And we can just go ahead and add that to the target. And then right here, we're going to hold down the B button, left click, and give us a branch. And we're just going to connect these up. And then for the branch, we're going to just grab and drag has male body and connect it here. And that should do it for that. Okay. Now, While we're here, we're going to need to put the actual new outfit in. So since we're doing the shirt, this is going to be John's shirt. So it's going to be John white tee, right? Yes. So we're going to select this one right here, not the body mesh. We want the outfit. So we're going to select that one. And then for this one, we're going to do the Jane one, white, Jane white tee. Okay. Do a compile and a save. And then while we're here, we're going to go to the viewport and we're going to select the skeletal mesh. And right here for the skeletal mesh, we're gonna do Jane white tee, okay? Because this is just gonna show what it looks like inside the box. So right here, while we got the skeletal mesh, let's see, we can drag this in here. And I guess we could rotate it by -90. And that way it'll just pop in a level. So yeah, so when the character walks over this, they'll equip this with all the logic we did. Let's just go ahead and do a compile and a save. Okay, so now what we need to do is, okay, we do a compile and save. Let's go down back to our content drawer. Let's go to content, go to third person, go to the blueprint. Right where we have our white tee, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do a control D. And instead of calling it white tee, we're gonna call it tech jacket, okay? And enter. And then what we can do is while we have our blueprint tech jacket. Well, first let's do a control shift S to save. And then we're gonna double click this. And everything's gonna be exactly the same, except we're gonna do some minor tweaking. Like for instance, the skeletal mesh, go to our viewport. We're gonna change this instead of it being, because we're inside of the blueprint tech jacket, we're going to change this to a different skeletal mesh. We're gonna change it to, let's see, tech. Let's see, just type in Jane tech jacket. Okay, and then we're gonna do a compile and a save. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not refreshing here, but that's okay. So, but what we can do is we can go to our event graph and let's see, make sure we got everything set up. It is. We're gonna go to our, oh, that's what I forgot. This is important. You gotta take the outfit and drag it out here and put it here. Because if you don't do this, then nothing will happen. So we need to not only do that for here. Here, let me just do this. Let's just go back to our John and then, or I'm sorry, wait, yes, our white tee right here. Go back to the event graph. And then right here, we need to add that function on the end of this as well, okay? Connect those up. And do a compile and save. So now our blueprint white tee and our jacket white tee have everything it needs. Now, we need to go into here and we need to fix this. So this is under blueprint jacket. What we need to do right here is this needs to be not the white tee, but the tech jacket. So for this one, because we're in John, we need John's tech jacket, okay? See, because here's John here, body male, that's it, okay? Same thing with this. We're gonna do Jane tech jacket, and we're gonna add that. So that way when they walk over this, they'll have those jackets, okay? Okay, so now let's continue on. Let's go back into the third person blueprint, or the actual game level, sorry. And what we need to do is we're gonna go to our content folder, and we're gonna take our jacket and we're gonna set it out here. And I'm just going to hit R to rotate this. So that way when we walk into that collision box, we'll put that jacket on. And then we're going to also do that with the actual shirt. So let's go ahead, we'll rotate that as well. And then hit W to move this up a bit. Let's see, we'll move that over here and that over here. And then we'll make sure we do a Control-Shift-S to save. All right, let me just go back. I want to double check our tech jacket for a second. Check the event graph. Okay, so another thing we're going to need to do is we're going to go see, we're going to go to the Jane right here, and we're going to go to the viewport, and we're going to select the body female, okay? And the thing that's important about this, you want to make sure that the rotation and location are exactly the same. So that way the actual clothing will line up correctly with the character. Another thing that you might want to do is we could like, yeah, we could, yeah, we'll leave it like this. But make sure you do the same for John, because originally when I was messing around with John earlier, his outfit was set like this, okay? Right? We don't want that. I mean, even though you can't see it here, you want it at 0. So we're gonna just go ahead and hit the clear for that just to make sure that is clear. So that way we're starting from scratch. And we can do a compile and a save. Now let's go ahead and head back over to the event graph for John. Okay, we're gonna scroll back, go up here. All right. So while we're up here and we're in the John blueprint, we're just gonna right click and we're gonna do a middle mouse button, because that's what we're going to use to switch out our characters. And then right here, we're going to right click and we're going to do a spawn actor. Let's see, spawn actor. I want to say from class. Okay. And right here, the actor that we're going to get is just going to be John. Or rather, I'm sorry, Jane, because we're in a John blueprint. So we want to spawn Jane. Okay. And then right here, we're going to split the transform pins because we're going to need to adjust these a little bit. And what we need here is we're going to need a get actor location. And we need to split the pin on this as well. So split, right click, split that pin, right click, and split this pin. So from the actor's location, we're going to do an add here. And for the add, we're going to do 50. That's going to just basically put that on the x-axis, and that's going to spawn the Jane character in front of us, okay? And we just want to set everything else just Y to Y, Z to Z. That's fine, okay? Now, we also need to get actor rotation, and we're just going to connect that right up to the actor rotation, okay? Collect this on pressed. Always keep your code nice and neat. Great for troubleshooting later. Now, right off of here, we're going to have to we're going to promote this variable. And this is just going to be called a Jane ref. Okay. We're just getting a reference to where we can basically get a reference to the Jane blueprint. And then let's see, right here, we're going to need to do a possess node. So let me see, maybe we can do Jane ref here. Get Jane. We're going to do a possesses. Let me see. Okay, we're going to do right click, and instead we're just going to do a get controller. Yes, get controller. And then right off of here, we're going to drag off, and then we're going to get possesses. Okay. And we want to possess this pawn. I'm going to hook this up. Then right after that, we're going to destroy actor. And it's just going to be ourself, the blueprint we're currently in. Okay. Now let's scroll out a little bit. And this logic here, we're just going to left click, drag, and highlight all this. Do a Control C. Make sure it's Control. Is it Control C? Control C. Make sure we compile and save this blueprint. And then we go to the Jane, go to her event graph, and right here at the top, do a Control V. Now we don't want this right here, so we're going to delete this and delete this because we want Jane to spawn John. So right here, we're going to do a BP John, right? And we're going to promote that variable, and we're going to call this a John ref. John ref. Okay. And then let's see. We can just take the John ref and just connect that to the pawn right here. And then we have everything we need. So yes. So everything should look exactly the same. Do a compile and a save. Okay, so now that that's done, now the final thing is, let's just go ahead and test out our logic. So when we hit the middle mouse button, so first we're gonna hit the play button. And then actually, while we're here, I'm just gonna hit F11. And we've got our regular character, right? And if we hit the middle mouse button, it'll switch us to the other character and vice versa. Now, we can just go over here and now we can put on the clothing. Yeah, and yes, of course, there's a little bit of bleed through. That's just what's going on. And in another video, maybe I'll show how to fix that. You can also go over here and change, and now you're inside of the white tee, right? Or you can go ahead and you can click the middle mouse button, switch to the female, and now she is, yeah, it takes a second for it to replicate, but now she's wearing the clothing. Now each one is tailored specific to their own clothing. I hope you enjoyed this. Nice, you completed the video. Let's see what you can do with the next one. Let's go.